Welcome into episode 58 of the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball and recruiting podcast on the growing KSR Podcast Network. I am your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio, and I'm happy to be joined once again by David Sisk of Cats Illustrated. David, first off, how are you?
Doing good, Jack. Doing good. Great to be here, man.
We've had a little bit of a delay, a bunch of, changes, and it's been just a chaotic mess there for a minute, but we promise to return with vengeance, return with star power, and that star power is in the form of our good friend Sean Smith of Go Big Blue Country. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Jack. Guys, it's been a while since I've been on with you, but this is the third podcast that I've recorded today, so I should have it all under control, and you should get the best of me, is what I'm trying to say. I should have all the kinks out.
Sounds to me like he's a wanted man. If you do three podcasts in one day, you're a heavy hitter, man.
Sheesh. Yeah. You should have all your points just rehearse in your head. You should just be flawless. It should just sound just eloquent and beautiful, and we are looking forward to having that. We have, as a result of our bit of delay and just scheduling, you guys have just not known when we were going to put out a show. It's just been so sporadic and random, in part because there's been just no recruiting news, to be totally honest, over the last couple of weeks. We weren't just going to put together a show and make stuff out of thin air. If there's no positive news, no, progression of past, recruiting developments, not going to just create a show based on recruiting out of nothing. So we've been trying to get together some special guests and, dealing with 16, 17-year-olds. And, we've tried to get in contact with a bunch of different recruits and all that. And it's just been very hectic and chaotic. And we finally got not just one, but two very special guests today. It's going to be an awesome show. We're going to be joined by 2021 five-star forward Daimion Collins, and we're also going to be joined by his Atlanta high school basketball head coach, Jarrod Boston. Both of those guys have phenomenal things to say. Really had a good time talking with them. You guys are going to absolutely love it, I promise you. But before we jump into all of that, this week was a pretty significant news week, just in terms of just what this upcoming roster is going to look like. And it doesn't even involve Olivier Sarr completely. Everybody's kind of been waiting on the edge of their seats for that. That's been the big news that we've all been waiting for. But we actually learned that UK is trying to get another person on this upcoming roster eligible for this year, and that's Jacob Toppin, Rhode Island transfer. The original plan was, when he first signed here, that he was going to take a redshirt year. He wanted to sit out, develop his body, develop his game before ultimately, returning to the actual game floor in 2021, 2022. So first things first, Sean, I'll start with you. What does this mean to you that UK has officially requested a waiver for immediate eligibility for Jacob Toppin?
Well, you and I talked about it earlier. Why not? The things have changed so much since Toppin committed to Kentucky and announced that he was transferred to Kentucky, because now you got the push to, for the winter sports to receive a year of eligibility in return. So what does it hurt to at least try? And it's kind of wild that we found it in the preseason prospectus yesterday morning that none of us really knew. And then it was right there, just tucked away. And I think that was the one thing that, like, all of us found is like, okay, it's Olivier Sarr and Jacob Toppin. But I think it makes sense. He's been showing up a lot, Jack, in the photo galleries that they post from practice. So, which tells me he's making some plays. He's around the rim. He's around the ball. I mean, if anything, it gives you an extra option depending on what happens with Olivier Sarr. It's an extra body.
I think you bring up a good point. Every single photo gallery, every single video, practice highlight they've shown, every single one of them has included Jacob Toppin. Every single one has had an alley-oop dunk or a corner three, or, they have been going out of their way to emphasize that, hey, Jacob Toppin is here and he is practicing and he's involved. And, he's not just involved in actually practicing, but he's actually making plays. They are going out of their way to highlight this kid. And, you hit on a couple of those major points. The instant eligibility rule for the SEC or the NCAA, they are implementing this, or they're actively trying to, where this is like they did with college football, the fall sport athletes. It's going to be a blanket waiver, a free year of eligibility. Doesn't matter if you play 1 second or every single minute of the entire season. this year's practically not going to count because they don't want to, pressure kids into playing in these uncertain circumstances. It's just such a bizarre year for everybody that probably from a, liability standpoint, I mean, there's just so many reasons for them to say, you know what, this is a free year. Do what you need to do. We'll accept the, consequences / benefits, whatever the case is. We're going to be comfortable with this final result. And I think that's the biggest point in itself. UK saw this opportunity and said, why would we not? He's going to, if we could use him 5 minutes in a game against, Arkansas or, whatever the case is, why not use him?
And with the transfer rule, going away pretty soon, what's it hurt, honestly, for all these guys just to be eligible? I mean, if 2021 is bringing where kids can transfer and be immediately eligible somewhere else, it's only a couple of months away. Yeah, I mean, they pushed that
literally.
Literally, it's right here. I mean, the college basketball season's pretty much not starting till December. Mm-hmm. It's the last week in November. So what's the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, David, we haven't – I think even when he committed to Kentucky, it was just such a quick, fluid process. It was kind of in between us doing our shows, and it was just we didn't even really get the opportunity to talk about this kid's game and what he's going to be down the road. I want to ask you, in terms of this coming roster right now, do you see a need for a Jacob Toppin? Do you think that it makes sense for Kentucky to not only get his immediate eligibility, but to actually use him at some point this season?
Three things here, and I think they're all win-win. And I'll start with the first, which may be the most important. People that I've spoken with around the Kentucky program or talked to the coaches, we'll put it that way, man, they really like him. And I mean really, really like him more than they would have thought. And I'm not going to say some of the things that I've heard, I'm not going to repeat because it makes it sound like I'm really going out on a limb. But, man, I'm telling you, he is he's got the eye of the Kentucky coaching staff. And I know you talked about down the road. I think they probably feel like he can be good now from some of the things I've heard. Obviously, like you guys said, it's important that you basically get a free year. So what does that hurt? But I think you go into the COVID thing too. I remember Bruce Arians back in the summer said that he was going to quarantine his third string quarterback all year long, and he was going to get a good one. He wasn't going to pick one up off the street because he figured sooner or later with COVID they'd be playing. And if you look in sports, I mean, I live in Tennessee and you see what's going on with the Titans. You talk about Cam Newton with the Patriots, and you've just got – there's always the injury risk. I mean, we've looked at Kentucky the last 2 years, and they've had injuries, especially inside. I mean, they've been down to spare parts and bringing up baseball players and putting them on in. And I think they're a little deeper this year, but you still got the injury issue, but you've got the COVID issue too. Who knows? You come up and play a game, and you could have different players sitting out for 10 to 14 days all year long. So I think it behooves, no matter who you are, to have as deep of a roster as you can have. Because I think you're shortchanging yourself if you don't, because you may be down to forfeiting games if you don't do it.
Yeah. The idea of keeping him saying, okay, yeah, we want, no matter what happens this year, we want him to value this red shirt. We want to have those 2 valuable years of eligibility down the road. Like you bring up, say there's an injury in, beginning of January, or say they keep watching him in practice and he keeps developing and he keeps on putting on weight and he keeps getting stronger and he's just looking the part, and you get to a January, February, and you go, I mean, should we use him? Should we, should those questions start to creep in? And then you already think, well, shoot, we've already wasted a month or two already. I mean,
I think his versatility is important too. I'm sorry to butt in, but I mean, if you look at what he does, he's really a /3-4. So if you get some perimeter guys going down, I mean, he's not going to play point guard, but he could be a bigger wing. So if you need somebody on the wing, he can do that. If you need somebody on the block, he's not a center, but he can play the power forward role a little bit. So he can kind of give you both. So I think, he provides a lot of flexibility there for Calipari if he needs him.
Yeah.
I asked Joel about him a month ago when I had him on Kentucky Daily, and he just mentioned his athleticism and his versatility and his length. It just shows up, especially in practice. And he has experience, Jack. I mean, that's the other thing. Like he would be one of Kentucky's most experienced players if he is eligible, because he at least has a year of college basketball under his belt. It was at Rhode Island. It wasn't in a Power 5, but still, any kind of experience for this team is going to pay dividends for him.
But if you look at the actual box scores and the actual what games he made an impact in at Rhode Island last year, it was against the big, I think I don't have the list, LSU and, some other schools like that. He made impacts in a strong impact in high impact games and big games for the Rhode Island program. And I think that might be something that the UK staff looked at and said, okay, this kid's obviously thriving against SEC type talent, against, high major talent. Okay, if he's doing this against them, we saw what his brother did at Dayton. He took that redshirt year, he developed his body. It's almost an identical story from what happened with Obi and what could potentially happen with Jacob. It's not about what you're getting from him right now. I think they listed him at 6'9", which I think that's, that in itself is just intriguing. But what he is right now, if he can help even in even slightly, foul trouble, injury insurance, whatever the case is, there's just really no reason not to try for a waiver in this case. And if he's a, randomly surprises everybody and has a fantastic season and it's a win-win across the board. If he comes in and he's not ready yet, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt his eligibility at all. It's just it makes no sense not to move forward with a decision like this. Moving on a little bit from that side of the transfer and the waiver issue, but by doing this, we talked a little bit about how the NCAA is actively trying to remove this, add this blanket waiver for winter sports athlete for the additional year of eligibility. And by rule, Sean, does this not mean that Olivier Sarr is guaranteed eligibility for, he's already been approved by the NCAA. I just pulled up the official SEC bylaw. It's SEC bylaw 14.115, and it says a student athlete who, upon enrollment at the certifying institution, has less than 2 years of eligibility remaining shall not be eligible for intercollegiate competition at a member institution until the student has fulfilled a residence requirement of 1 full academic year at the certifying institution. He has 1 year of eligibility remaining right now. By definition, if they add a blanket year of free eligibility, he has 2 years of eligibility, meaning he does not need to sit out for a full academic year, have the full year of residency. Does that mean that if this goes into effect, I think it's being voted on next week or early, I think early next week, does that not by definition mean that Olivier Sarr is going to be guaranteed eligibility?
By the way that rule's written, you would think so. And that would be a Greg Sankey decision, correct? From the SEC.
I would guess so, but it would be the NCAA's decision for the blanket waiver, but the SEC rule, it's an SEC rule for the full year of residency, but
and two, if that goes into effect, you're right. Like, I don't know how you wouldn't just go ahead and just rule him eligible, because what are you saying? Because then he would have 2 years of eligibility, even though he would technically be a senior. But two, even if that didn't come down to it, you've already saw the SEC rule change some of the rules with Joey Gatewood on the football side of things. So that's where I think the SEC would come into play on the basketball side of things and probably rule him eligible anyhow. But with the blanket waiver, I just find it very difficult to really rule anyone ineligible during this time. And that's just what I think it's going to come down to. I just feel like that given the circumstances around COVID-19 and all those players that missed out on postseason play last year, the coaching changes, all the uncertainties, it just doesn't make sense for anyone to really be ineligible in any NCAA sport this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. David, last time we talked, last time you were on this show, I think it was 2 weeks ago, you said that you felt more confident in Joey Gatewood's waiver status than Olivier Sarr's, given the recent string of events based on what the SEC came out and said and all that. How has this news changed your mind? Are you as confident as we are?
We'll just have to wait. It looks better. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And we'll, like you say, they're supposed to meet next week. So I think we just kind of wait and see, what they say next week. Really the suits. I mean, it's going to be up to them, because I just think things happen. I don't know. It may be Kentucky recruiting in general, where nothing ever happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
and I mean, when's the last thing anything ever happened? Well, and I would call this recruiting. I mean, because he's not his name at Kentucky yet, so I still call it recruiting. When's the last time anything around Kentucky basketball happened the way it was supposed to happen in the recruiting world? So I'm just gun shy to say, yeah, it's going to happen. We're going to get some good news here. It's going to happen, man. I'm just gun shy. I'm not going to lie about it.
If it came down to an SEC decision, the SEC would ultimately be deciding to impact one of the better teams in the league negatively. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow if you're Greg Sankey and the league office. Yes, that rule is there, but you're pretty much essentially saying, with Sarr, I think Kentucky is a legit Final Four contender. If you take Sarr out, it hurts one of those top 2 or 3 teams in the league. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow for the SEC.
Yeah, and especially in a time right now where revenue is so important, and putting out the best product and, getting those viewership dollars and ad revenue, when all of that stuff is so important, to worry right now out of all times about something as stupid as a 1 full year of residency rule for of all time. Yes, we have seen petty rulings by the SEC, petty rulings by the NCAA right now, but this is not one of those times. We've said on this show over and over and over again, right now, the SEC has to do right by, the SEC has to do right by these kids. The NCAA has to do right by these kids. If there was ever a time for these institutions to just, say, all right, well, times are tough. We just got to get through this and make tough decisions, even if it's not to the book, to the rule, to the book, to the bylaw, then so be it. We just got to do what we got to do. Now's not the time to worry about the little specifics and the little nonsense in that front at all.
And that's at every school. That's with every program. Like not just Kentucky. I would say the same thing about any other program, any other situation, especially during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely something that I feel better about. And once this is, I think the last report was that it's going to be voted on this coming week. And by definition, the way I read it, we could hear at the exact same time news on Olivier Sarr. I just, based on my reading of the rule book and based on, how things have been moving and how they worked for the fall semester. And I mean, after the fall sports, after the NCAA ruled that fall, made that fall ruling, we saw opt-ins and opt-outs almost instantly after that. So I would consider this kind of on the same wavelength. So me personally, I think this is a good news, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if we heard something of the sort right around the time this gets officially voted on and implemented by the NCAA. All right. Well, we'll move on from that topic and we'll transition into a few recruiting notes before we jump into our interviews. But before we do that, we got to get to our friends at MyBookie. Between the NFL, college ball, and MLB playoffs, there's no shortage of games to watch. And with thousands of lines available on all your favorite sports and events, you can turn on your game day into payday with MyBookie. If you're the type of guy who likes to to back the big favorites, consider putting a couple in a parlay for a much bigger payout. Not only do parlays make meaningless games exciting, but more importantly, they give you a chance to turn ordinary bets into a real moneymaker. And don't forget the underdogs. They have a ton of value. The thing about the NFL is that underdogs are never really dogs on Sunday. Every team truly has a chance to win, and you do too. Game spreads, championship futures, and player prop bets, it's never too late to get in on the action and start turning your sports knowledge into actual cash in your wallet. Sign up at MyBookie, and when you do, use our promo code SourcesSay to claim a deposit match, dollar for dollar, all the way up to $1,000. It's a bonus designed to give you a little help and a head start on your winning season. That's promo code SourcesSay, no spaces, just exactly how it sounds, for you to claim your bonus when you make your deposit. Stacked UFC cards, presidential prop bets. There wasn't one about the fly on Mike Pence's head, but I'm sure there's going to be something along those lines moving forward with these, with all this stuff moving forward, all the major sports and more. There's so many opportunities. Sign up today to begin your winning season exclusively at MyBookie. Now, David, you are our resident expert. You have won our listeners a ton of money if they had followed through on some of your PGA bets, and I'm just dying to know if you have any off the top of your head to get this little promo started for this coming weekend, big sports weekend. There's got to be something in your tank.
I'm sitting here watching second round Las Vegas as it goes, and man, Bryson DeChambeau's going to win this tournament again, but you can't get very good odds because he's such a favorite. But I would go ahead and put a good future bet, prop bet already on him to win the Masters. I said that before he won the U.S. Open. There's no rough. He hits it 500 yards. He's going to tear that course apart.
There you go. That's from our resident.
He's a great putter. He is going to destroy Augusta National.
That's our resident bettor. You got to trust.
I'm signing up right now. I'm signing up right now as we speak.
As you should. I'm
not giving any more. I'm not giving any more football bet since I said Kentucky and points and Auburn was the greatest bet ever. I'm not. And we all. I'm not going that route anymore.
If you think about it, it was at the time. It should have worked out. Kentucky just kind of crapped the bed there in the second half. It was on pace to be the perfect bet. We tried.
Teams crapping the bed. It's why they've got skyscrapers in Las Vegas.
You're right, but. No. But at some point, somebody's got to beat the establishment, and that's going to be us. It's going to be you, our loyal listener. I have faith in you. Sean, I want to ask you before we get into all the recruiting fun. Kentucky -3 against Mississippi State. What do you think of that line? Are you feeling confident about Kentucky to just not only win, but break that 3-point spread against Mississippi State tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm a little back and forth on it. I do think Kentucky will win the game tomorrow. I picked them by 4, so I'm right there on it. I picked them right in that 4-point range. So
that would be a moneymaker.
It would be, but given the first 2 weeks of the season,
your personal dollars on said matchup. That's another question.
I do think Kentucky does get back on track tomorrow, though.
There we go. I like the optimism, and I would appreciate that same optimism for our listeners to do the same thing. That's promo code SourcesSay at MyBookie, where you will be a winner. All right, let's jump into our fun recruiting stuff before jumping into our interviews. All right, let's play some roulette here. We're talking about gambling. Name the recruit that we'll start with out of the the hot button issues right now that we'll start with. Sean, who should we begin with?
Damian Collins.
Damian Collins. All right. Well, we're going to be talking about him. He's going to be joining the show here in a little bit. I got to be honest. It was one of my favorite interviews that we've done. Sean, I called you a little bit, after it, told you some of the funny stuff that he said. I gotta be honest. I just can't envision. So you'll hear from his coach. His coach says that he's a good old country boy down from Atlanta, Texas. There's a reason that he's kind of a homebody. There's a bunch of Big 12 schools on his list. He is a good old country boy from the South. And mind you, he is a 6'10", 215-pound forward that jumps out the gym and averaged like 8 blocks a game last year as a junior. So I'm just trying to envision his in this interview, you'll hear he says that he has a few horses, and one of his common things, one of the things he loves to do is ride horses in his free time, and like, go through paths and go in the back country and just go on his horse rides. Can you even envision an athlete of his stature getting on a horse just casually for fun and doing it like on a regular basis? Just the idea of that just blows my mind.
That's why I picked him when you asked me to pick somebody first, just because our phone call earlier, because you had me laughing and thinking about it, because I've been trying to think about it all day ever since you told me. Wow, no, you usually call me when you want to get the country aspect of things.
Yep.
But today,
my favorite voice voice in media.
But now it was
Man,
Daimion
he
Collins.
talks like a Yankee. What are you talking about?
Here comes David.
Yeah.
Right. If he came to where I live, they would think he was from Manhattan or somewhere.
Yeah,
ride to Florida with me, David, and you'll change your mind.
That's not Manhattan, Kansas either.
Yeah, between the two of you, we have some very unique voices.
Jack,
you would fit in right where you would fit in those dirt paths and trails with Damian with his horse expertise. And I was stupid. I didn't even bring up the idea that, hey, Kentucky is the horse racing capital of the world. Lexington, Kentucky for sale's right next door. I completely screwed that part of the interview up. I didn't even follow it up and be like, hey, kind of ironic that Kentucky's on your list of final schools. But I was just so caught up in the moment of trying to envision this 6'10" basketball player, riding horses, just casually for fun.
And that's why, I asked you that. I said, did you mention anything about, Kentucky and horse racing? And you were like, no, I didn't. But David, you say that I sound like I'm from Manhattan. Ride to Florida with me like Jack did, and you'll be convinced otherwise. When I get upset on the highway, when I talk fast, that's when the Eastern Kentucky comes out of me.
606 definitely comes out of that man. For sure. He has a whole lot of Hicktown in his voice. It's quite entertaining. All right, let's jump a little bit into the Daimion Collins interview / what we know about his recruitment, what we think of his game, all that good stuff. David, you actually got the chance to talk to him first. You got to warm him up with the pre-Sources Say interview. You got to, kind of loosen him up, get some of the good stuff out of him first before we, I kind of hit the, late half, haymaker later in the week. I want to know what you thought of that interview and if your mind has changed at all in his recruitment.
No, he didn't really give me enough to do that, because I wanted to talk about each school that was on his list. And, he said, I really can't do that. He said, because it all comes down to, these are the 5 schools that are on me the hardest. And these are the ones that make me feel like they want me. And so, that was something that kind of stood out. So you really couldn't differentiate it. And he kept saying he said through the interview, all these schools are doing this right now. All these schools are doing. So he really didn't do that. But we got into Kentucky. He just talked about, like, there's a lot of contact right there. He talked about, the relationship with Jai Lucas. The big thing, his ultimate goal, he did talk about the NBA a lot. That's his ultimate goal. So a lot of people ask me, and I'm sure you guys get the same questions, are recruits taking notice that the success that Kentucky players have in the NBA playoffs? They are. Mm-hmm. And so he was talking about that, and I asked, and he talked about John Calipari comparing him to Anthony Davis. That was the one he made. He said they came in, they were skinny, they were long, they had the same type frame, same athleticism. So he had made that comparison. He said that made him feel good because Anthony Davis is actually his favorite player. So was so, if you really want something to go by, that's it. But, from things I've been seeing, it's an Oklahoma Kentucky race. Dan McDonald did a thing today on Rivals, and he said he said the same thing, and he would put Oklahoma slightly ahead. And I think that's what most people think, but it is, I think, a very competitive race.
Yeah, and you bring up Oklahoma, and everybody talks about the big picture scenario with Oklahoma. They have commitments from two of his best friends right now, Bijan Cortez and CJ Nolan, who, as you guys will hear here in a little bit, his coach said that Damian spent the night with Bijan a whole bunch this summer. They worked out together. They're very, very, very close friends. He did say that they're not actively like recruiting. I mean, they're loosely recruiting him to Oklahoma, but when they talk, it's not about recruiting. They go out of their way to just kind of leave him be, make sure he doesn't feel pressured, because they are friends first above, hey, let's join a super team and, bring Oklahoma back to stardom, blah, blah, blah. Their focus is definitely more on just, being friends. And I mean, they are really close. And, I was kind of looking at the map. You look at the finalists on his list, you would think like Texas and Texas Tech and, those schools right there. Oklahoma, I think, is closer than – I think Oklahoma is the closest finalist on his list. And, he's kind of a shy kid. He's a homebody. When you factor in his two best friends being at Oklahoma and the proximity to home, it makes a lot of sense. And if there was one school that could, win out over Kentucky in a battle like this, it's, especially for a kid as shy as he is and as, down to earth and just quiet as he is, Oklahoma makes a lot of sense for sure.
The thought process is if Kentucky had not got involved, he would have already committed to Oklahoma. That's what a lot of people believe, and that Oklahoma and that Kentucky has given him something to think about. So it's basically a process of them trying to flip him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we won't jump into his recruitment a whole lot more, because you are going to talk to him and hear from him in just a minute, and hear from his coach too. But I will say his coach brings up a pretty significant point where he says that Damian's getting exhausted with his process. He said on the show, he was like, it's not that bad, but he said that his dad's tired of his coach said that Damian's dad is tired of seeing him tired and exhausted, dealing with coaches, dealing with recruiters, dealing with media interviews like what we just did. Like he's ready to take this step forward. He even brought up a story about Oklahoma, having a Zoom visit with him late at night one night. It lasted an hour and a half when he was supposed to be in the gym. His coach went to the school, unlocked the doors. He was there to work out with him, watch him work out. And he was sitting there the whole time on a Zoom call. And he kind of, after he hung up, he kind of looked at him and was like, kind of shook his head like, I'm sorry, man. It's just another one of those things. And it's taken a toll on him. And, whether he admits it or not, it's definitely something that his dad notices at home, says that he's tired of this process. He's exhausted. He's tired of seeing his son tired. And because of that, it's definitely starting to seem like we're leaning toward an early signing. He even admitted that the odds are pretty good that he will make a commitment in the early signing period. And we're a month away from that right now. So we are in the home stretch of his recruitment. And I'd like to say I would trade Kentucky's position with Oklahoma, but it's just one of those things. It's 1A, 1B right now. I would take Oklahoma very slightly above Kentucky's chances right now, but they're just so neck and neck right now. They both present very, very strong cases for his interest. MBA, professional, business decision is Kentucky. Personal, home, friendship decision is Oklahoma. It's very likely going to be one of those schools, and we'll go from there. It's going to be interesting to see, and we're looking forward to it. Real quick, Sean, I didn't even get your opinion. What do you like about Damian's game, and what do you think he would mean for to be an addition to this recruiting class for Kentucky?
Human pogo stick. He's bouncy off the floor, great range, shot blocker, just overall athleticism, just very impressive when you turn on the tape. I like his game a lot, but I'm with you. I would go Oklahoma. It's close to home, And Kentucky's the outlier there. It's so different than the other schools. The other schools are Big 12 schools, probably programs that he's really familiar with and areas of the country he's really familiar with. It's a difficult decision. Like, David brought up, does the NBA playoffs, does it have any effect? I think it does on a lot of these recruitments. And one note, too, is most of the time these high school kids, they're playing when the NBA is going on.
Yeah,
Nobody's
that's
been playing
true.
right now. Everybody's getting to sit back and watch this NBA bubble. And if it doesn't pay off in this recruitment, it's probably going to pay off in some more.
Yeah, I'd completely agree. And we'll move on from that one, since you guys will be able to hear from him himself. We'll jump into, let's say, Hunter Salas right now. It definitely seems like things are trending in the very right direction for Kentucky. Kentucky's picked up a ton of crystal ball picks, I believe a couple future casts as well. It definitely seems like he said in an interview that he was going to make a list cut rather soon, but very likely wait until the spring to make a decision. That's contrary to what pretty much everybody kind of thinks, in recruiting circles right now, and people that follow, recruiting rather closely. Everybody thinks that this decision is going to be, coming to an end, and that, we'll hear an announcement sooner rather than later, likely in the early signing period. And my gut is saying, based on the buzz, based on the momentum, and given the idea of potentially ramping things up and making a decision in the coming weeks, David, I'd like to think that means good things for Kentucky's chances.
Yeah, and you basically took my thoughts there. It doesn't make sense to me to say, okay, he's going to wait till the spring and do this and then go right behind it and make a prediction of where he's going to go. And there's been a lot of that, and it's moving pretty quickly. I mean, we've seen a lot of predictions for him this week. So I'm trying to find out some things on this one. And like I say, if he does it in the spring, then I don't really buy into it that that's what he's going to do. Now, he could, but I think visits are a big thing to him. Is he starting to figure out, hey, there may not be visits in the spring either, and let's just go ahead. So I think it depends a lot on when he's going to do it. Like you say, if he does it in the fall, it seems like there's a lot of Kentucky momentum right now. I spoke to an individual earlier today. I'm going to find out more from him tonight. But, and I asked him why, why does it look like Kentucky right now? And he said he likes the big stage. Those were his words. And I want to hear more. So, but I'm really curious right now why that buzz. But more importantly, does all this mean that he's going to do it in the fall? I think if he does it in the fall, it helps you answer your second question.
Yeah, it'd be big time. It would make a lot of sense. The timing, all the puzzle pieces kind of feel like they're starting to come together. That momentum is shifting in the right direction, and Kentucky usually gets that one premier guy in their class. They usually get him early. They and it seems like we are trending toward Hunter Salas being that guy. Now, Sean, we haven't gotten your thoughts on what you like about Hunter Salas's game, who you think he compares to, and, all that. So I'd like to get your thoughts on, just what do you like about Hunter Salas, and what would he mean for to join Kentucky's recruiting class?
I think the easiest comparison is the one that's been going around for months now, and it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
Just the size, the skill set. He's so good with the ball, 6'5" guard. He fits the mold of a John Calipari guard. And this might be one of those recruitments where I was talking about where the NBA playoffs maybe factor in for Kentucky. He got the offer, and he's been able to sit back and watch for 2 months now. Jamal Murray, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the playoffs, all these Kentucky guards having success. I think he'd be huge. You would have an elite piece with this class, another guard with Nolan Hickman. It'd be a great start for John Calipari to really get this thing rolling for this class.
And it creates versatility in terms of what Calipari wants to do. You have Nolan Hickman, who we've had on this show. We've talked to his dad. Very comfortable off and on ball. Very versatile. Could play one or two. If anything, Hunter Salas might be trending a little. He was before just a primary point guard, could do nothing but be a primary point guard. Now he's kind of a 2-ish 1. He's gotten that versatility. I mean, he has, he can do both right now. And he's trending that way where you throw him out here kind of like a Tyrese Maxey. You don't want to play the 2 today? We can play the 2. We need you to play the 1. Go for it. You can run point. Like that type of versatility Calipari loves. And then you have possibility of Devin Askew coming back. He is another one of those guys that you want to put him in the corner and as a catch and shoot, shoot 3 guy, put him on the wing, however you want to utilize him, or on ball as the main number 1. Calipari thrives with that versatility, guys that can just grab it and go however you want to use him. He fits that mold to a T. And we're talking about Sky Clark. Things kind of sort of seem like they're trending back Kentucky's direction. If he as of right now, I'd probably stick with him in the class of 2022, sticking there. But even if he does decide to jump, you can work all of them in together, different lineups, different rotations. We've seen Calipari do it before, and we would very likely be able to see it again with this class for sure.
Sky is announcing on the 22nd, right?
Yes.
Is that still the plan? Do you
so
think there's any
2 weeks away from that?
You think there's any significance to the 22nd?
I believe the only reason, I think it was only because he announced it on September 22nd, and I think it was just, I'm going to announce a month from today. I think that might be the only.
If he doesn't, if he doesn't do it on October 22nd, I'm not going to lose sleep over that. I'm going to tell you, it could happen on another date as easily as it could happen October 22nd. I'm telling you.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. There's a we'll leave it at that. We'll like we've said over and over again, we'll talk about that one in depth whenever the that comes to fruition, whether it's Kentucky, whether it's North Carolina, whether it's whomever, however this goes, we'll definitely talk about that whenever the time comes. All right, we'll finish off with Bryce Hopkins. It's been a very unique recruitment because when he first announced his decommitment from Louisville, Kentucky reached out almost instantly. We heard of an offer within a week or so, and momentum shifted almost instantly. That Kentucky was the heavy leader, that it was not an if. It wasn't an if, it was a win situation. Almost all momentum flipped in Kentucky's favor, and by the looks of things, people kind of assumed that he was going to be a Wildcat by now at this point. I've talked to his dad 10 times now, over and over again. He's been great to me, great for us. I talked to him again last night. I guess I'll rewind a little bit. He originally said after he got the offer, he was going to sit down with Bryce and the family that weekend. So he got the offer August 22nd, 21st. That weekend, he was going to sit down with Bryce and his family. They were going to come up with a timetable / just a method of attack for his decision. Things went quiet for about a week or two. Then he decided that he was going to drive down to Lexington with Bryce, and they were going to just walk around campus, go through the bookstore, go through the business building. We talked to him about after that. Things went fantastic. He said that he was going to make a decision by the middle of September or the beginning of October. September is come and gone. October is the beginning of October is now officially done. I talked to him again last night to try to get an update, kind of say, hey, you told me last time that it was going to be early October. What's the latest? He said that we're just kind of taking things easy right now. We're going to, we're just continuing to take Zoom calls, do phone calls. You're just moving forward, but not rushing into any major decision. But he said Bryce will be committed in the next couple of weeks. Said that he wants to have this decision over within the next couple of weeks. David, you've been all over this. You've talked to plenty of the guys, insiders up in the Illinois area. You're very familiar with this recruitment as well. What have you heard? The latest information on this front, and do Kentucky fans, what should they be feeling right now?
A while ago you asked about Olivier Sarr and the eligibility ruling, and I said, it never happens that easy because look at the recruits. It's just all over the map. You look at every player that we've talked about, Hunter Salas has gone from, North Carolina to Kentucky. That thing's kind of flipped. We've talked about Sky. We've talked about, well, obviously not with Daimion, but, that was really, there weren't, I don't think, as many teams with the opportunity as what we have here. But when you look at these schools and these players, in the last 3 days, I have heard Wednesday night, there was a lot of Providence talk, or Tuesday night. Wednesday, it turned to Illinois. I was hearing from people everywhere that Illinois had really kind of jumped into the driver's seat here. And now here on Friday, the Kentucky's talk starting all over again. So it's kind of all over the place. Another one. But I think that's just the thing about recruiting. And it tells me that, in the dead time right before announcements are made, all people have time to do is really speculate, and it goes all over the map. Now, there have been some Illinois talk that makes sense. They had a workout. I heard his dad was at the workout wearing Illinois gear. And I've heard some other things. I know they're working on a Zoom call now, but we've heard some different things on the level of Kentucky's interest. You and I have heard 2 different things over the past, and I'm not really going to get into that, but I will say that I feel like if Kentucky really, really, really wants to get all in here, and it looks like it may be leaning back toward that way, that if they want to get all in here, that, they still got a really good chance to get him. Yeah. And I kind of leave it at that without just having a lot of loose ends that we just don't have time to tie up. But, we're just going to see, I think, over the next few weeks and days, just how serious that goes. And I think if you hear that Kentucky's giving him a lot of attention, the more attention they give him, the better that shot's going to be. I'll be honest with you. I had a future cast in for Kentucky. I've got it undecided now, and that doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to get him. That just means right now, of everything going on, I don't know, because I think Illinois is making a definite pitch. But I've heard Illinois, Kentucky, Providence. I don't think Providence is going to fit into this as much from different things that I've heard. I think he's got a lot of people in this camp would like him to choose the other 2. So I think it's Kentucky or Illinois.
Yeah. And I reached out to somebody on UK side last night. We talked about this, David. Based on the buzz that you were talking about, that we're not going to, get into some of the specifics, but I will say there was some buzz that Kentucky wasn't as that they weren't reaching out as often, that the contact had died out just a little bit. Now, I don't know if the rumblings were out there that maybe they like somebody else a little bit more. Whatever the case was, there's that part is the big question mark right now. But I reached out to somebody on UK side again, and they said, no, still all in on him, still like him a whole lot. He's still one of our top targets. There'd be no reason for us to not, push for a commitment to, move in on this kid. So they are saying all the right things. Bryce's dad said all the right things last night, said Kentucky's in contact all the time. He said, I talked to Joel yesterday. He said Bryce texts back and forth with John Calipari every once in a while. They have a very strong relationship. And when I asked him a minute later, what's going to be the big determining factor on where he decides to sign, where he decides to commit, he said it's going to be a trust factor with the head coach, relationships with the coaching staff. He went right from saying we have a great relationship with the coaching staff to saying we're a big deciding factor, and this is going to be our relationship with the coaching staff. So both sides are saying all the right things. It could be 100%, blowing smoke. And I mean, there's a reason that earlier this week, David, as you said, he was wearing Illinois gear to work out. There's a reason that there's been Illinois buzz. It seems like we're on that home stretch of his recruitment, and there's, some flip-flopping of information, trying to, maybe throw off the scent, whatever the case is. And there's a reason that all of this back and forth talk is going on right now. So I will say on Kentucky's side, they are confident. They like him a whole lot. They're saying that they're still all in on him. Bryce Hopkins' dad said that he's all in on him, that UK is still, all in and love him. Contact remains. So that's just, I'm not even going to make an educated guess, not going to guess where he commits. I'm just going to present that information, and you guys do with it what you guys want as listeners. So, Sean, do you have anything? I know you had talked to his dad a little bit and are familiar with his recruitment quite a bit. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that before we wrap this thing up.
There's not really much to add to what you all said, Jack. I remember in August, though, we were sitting there wondering if we were going to be making a pretty quick trip to that part of the country, the Chicago area, because the way things were moving early on after decommitted from Louisville. But no, I'm with you guys. I not really want to say too much, like David said.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. We'll know either way. He's going to be another one of those early signing period guys. I mean, we're going to get a lot of movement here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, these shows are going to be
very,
very big, very, very big and very important here as the weeks progress.
Well, I will ask you both this before we wrap up. So Kentucky starts the season, November 25th, somewhere through there that week. How many guys do you think will this class have by then? There'll be at least, in my opinion, a couple possibly on board.
I like that 2 number. I'd put the over under if we're going to talk back about our MyBookie friends. If we could put our own personal bets in, I would put the over under at 2 right now. I feel
that's what I'd said.
Feel safe that UK will add 2 in the early signing period.
I'm going to say 3.
Oh, okay. I like the confidence.
You've got Hickman. I think now, if Hunter Salas, and it's going to depend, that's the big question. If Hunter Salas is going to do this in the fall, so you're talking about early signing period, I think it's, right around November the 11th or something like that.
I think 11th through the 18th.
Yeah.
Something.
So if it does, you've got, I think 2 of the 3 between Hunter Salas, Bryce Hopkins, and Sky Clark. And we've got Damion there too. But I'm going to say, I'm not even thinking about Damion. I think 2 of the 3 between Salas, Sky Clark, and Hopkins will pick Kentucky.
There we go. What is there any possibility that UK gets all 4?
Yeah, but obviously it gets a lot leaner, as you go, the odds go down. But I think, like I say, I think it's somewhere in the middle. If you gave me a number and said how many are they going to have, I think they're going to get 2. I think they'll get 2 more in the fall. I think they'll have 3 in all for early signing period.
All right, I like the confidence.
That's just that's a guess, but
educated guess.
Well, yeah, just trying to put it all together. And if I had to pick a number, I wouldn't say 0 makes sense. I wouldn't say 4 makes sense. But I think they can get 2 guys.
Well, there we go. I like the confidence, and I like the.
They do get Sky Clark. I don't want to, but if they do get Sky Clark, I think you're looking at a reclassification. So
there we go. All right, we will transition this into our interviews. But first, Sean, we'll start with you. Where can fans find your work?
Find my work at gobigbluecountry.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at GBBCountry.
And David, where can fans find your work?
On Twitter, Coach David Sisk, and at Rivals Cats Illustrated. So it's good. It's good to talk to you 2 Northern guys today.
Let's not go that far. Let's not get too crazy. All right, you can find me on Twitter at Jack Pilgrim KSR. Reach out to me via email at jpilgrim@KentuckySportsRadio.com. With that, we will be back next week, and we will transition this into our interview first with Atlanta High School basketball head coach Jarrod Boston, and then after that, 5-star forward Damian Collins. We are now happy to be joined by Atlanta High School basketball head coach Jarrod Boston, coach of 2021 5-star forward and Kentucky target Damian Collins. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing well. It's a pleasure to be with you today. nice to have a good player you get interviewed every now and then. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, and you sure do with Daimion Collins. With Damian obviously being one of UK's top recruits on the board for next year, we wanted to use this opportunity to talk about, to one of the people closest to him regarding his game, personality off the court, what it's like to coach him, all that good stuff. So we'll jump right in with, how would you best describe Damian's game? Give me your best scouting report as his coach.
Just as far as his game, it's very, very. Best thing I can say about him is explosive. He does some things that'll have you shaking your head, saying, "How did he do that?" And it's just amazing watching his growth. Really, from the last 2 or 3 years, it's just amazing how good he's gotten. But he is just absolutely long arm, long limbed, and can. But he's strange in that usually you get the real tall kids. He's about 6'10". You get the real tall kids, and they don't have that explosive jumping ability. Those, he's got like 6'5", 6'6", 40 above 40, 45-inch vertical is what he's got. I think so. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's just so athletic and so explosive. But the thing about him, I will say, is his game is also, to me, it's like in the baby stages. I think that's why people get so excited about him, because they can see so much potential for growth in him that it's just unbelievable, to be honest with you.
Well, people always talk about, the explosion. He can jump out the gym, rim runner, block shots, alley-oops. He's that type of guy. But, some of his his latest film, he's kind of trying to expand his game, kind of do the point forward thing. He can, he's starting to make threes at a solid rate. And, he's kind of trying to develop his game to be that inside out type guy. Is that kind of something that you guys are focusing on?
Yes, he has. It is his freshman year. And you can kind of tell he's not gonna grow up to be the big wide body post up, and NBA teams and really college teams don't do that much anymore. Right. So he kind of wanted to be outside, and I kind of had to talk him into, hey, let's go outside a little bit, because he's so good in there too. But sure, we're just kind of gonna turn him loose. He's kind of the trail man, the four kind of type, and he's gonna be setting screens, shooting threes, and hopefully he'll be slipping inside a whole bunch. Especially we see a lot of zones with the people that we play. Mm-hmm. So he'll be slipping inside and doing some stuff in there. But yeah, he really has expanded his game. He went a lot this summer during quarantine. He would go work out with his kind of AAU bunch. They didn't play, but they worked out a bunch. Mm-hmm. And he really worked on his outside game. So got a lot better. He's got a lot more consistent stroke this year. I've noticed in practice too. So he should. I don't know. It's really be interesting this year, to be honest with you.
Do you have a player comparison for him, or is there somebody that you know of that he models his game after the most?
I hate to throw this guy out there, because he just, I don't know. It's way better, but in a way, he's kind of. For us, he's kind of Kevin Durant would be what I would be. He doesn't shoot it as well, but he plays. To me, he's a defender on top of that, a lot better defender, I think, than Durant would be. So, kind of like that. He kind of has the same look on the floor as maybe a KD, with more of a. I'm trying to think of a defensive player that would be. I'm telling you, there's nobody really that I've seen here lately that is like him defensively. It's just unbelievable. If he puts a little weight on, is able to handle the banging, he's going to be he's right now he's a D1 college defender, no doubt. But I don't know about the player, but KD would probably be the closest thing.
Man, those are some big old shoes to fill right there.
I know. I hate to say that, because he doesn't have the offensive game that KD does, but like I say, KD doesn't have the defensive game that he's going to have. So
that's fair. Yeah,
I guess it's a trade-off.
Yeah, it's fair, and it totally makes sense. Now, if you are, say, you're the opposing coach, and you're looking to slow him down, what's your opposing scouting report for him? Highlighting his weaknesses. Give me your game plan to slow him down.
the night before before I go to bed, I'm gonna pray really hard that something happens to him, because around here I'm telling you, there's nobody that can really slow him down. But just that probably people have given us trouble, and it's gonna be harder this year because overall we're gonna be, I think, just a lot more experienced, a lot better. But people just try to, one person's on him, and then when he gets the ball, they're gonna send two and three, and sometimes even four. Last year in the playoffs, he had four guys running at him, trying to make him give it up, and he's making a lot better decisions this year, so that'll help us in the long run. But yeah, just try to honestly just try to send people at him and make him shoot the outside shot, and just hope he misses. That's really the big thing.
He's ranked as high as number 10 in the country, one of the top players at his position. Do you, if you are one of the recruiting guys, one of the, the experts, would you say that he's ranked accurately? And what do you think his ceiling is in terms of ranking and just overall ability at the college level?
It's funny because I'd ask college coaches as they came in, because I've coached 27 years. I've never had this high D1 prospect. I've really never had a D1 prospect, to be honest with you. But I'd ask him, what is your, why are you so attracted to him? And, they would say defense first. He's long, he's athletic, athleticism and defense. But his ceiling for, is so high. That's what I think really attracts colleges. And it would attract me too. A lot of these guys I watch and I see them on highlights, and you can tell they put a lot of time in their game, and they're muscled up, and they're maybe their ceiling's not as high. Maybe they're at their ceiling, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But his ceiling is just out of this world. It's just unreal. He hadn't even come close to me touching what he could be. So, and if he doesn't, we'll see. But I think that's the biggest thing. Is just he has such a big ceiling, such a high ceiling.
What was an average night for him? Points, rebounds, assists, blocks. What is that last year for you? And then what are the kind of the expectations this coming year for as you talked about with the team having more experience and kind of not having to rely on him as much, but still having him kind of handle the bulk of the work. What would you say the difference is between just pure stat line from last year to this year?
Honestly, I think he'll average probably a few more points. He averaged about 24 last year, but I think he's going to average more. But I think all of his averages, honestly, are going to go up. Now it's going to make us probably a better team. And we got, like I said, we got a few more things, a little bit more experience. We got 4 starters coming back, including him. So we're going to be okay. But he's just improved so much that he could probably average 30 a game, to be honest with you, about 15 rebounds. Last year it was 25, and I think 12 or 13, and then 7 blocks a game. So he could actually average a triple double, and that triple one being the blocks, because he could easily average 10 blocks a game. Wow. It's funny, a couple of years ago, a guy was telling me, a head coach said, "Hey, did you do stats for our game?" And I said, "Nah." I said, "I really didn't." And he said, "Did you know Collins blocked 10 shots in the fourth quarter against us?"
Wow.
I was like, I did not know that. So he has the ability for us just to change the game. That's what I tell everybody. I'm going to have to start coaching defense next year, because we just pretty much funnel everything to the middle, and he's just so good at blocking shots.
Wow.
He just goes and gets them. Yeah.
Sheesh. Well, switching over a little bit to his personality and, what he's like off the court. Everybody can, go on YouTube, look up his highlights and, watch game film and all that. But what, you get to see him on a day-to-day basis. What is whatever school he decides to go to? What are they getting in terms of the kid off the floor?
First thing that's strange about him, and I mean, I always see these top guys, and they are, they're dogs. They're mean, and they get after you, and which I'm not saying he's not and can't be, but he is honestly, he is a really, really nice and sweet kid. He's really shy and unassuming. He's not going to talk a whole lot, and he's just really a good old country boy, to be honest with you. And I kind of like that. There's not really any attitude with me. Now he'll ask me stuff in the game, and hey, can we try this? And as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little wiser and thought, maybe some of these kids know what they're talking about. So I'll try some things, and we've talked over some things. And but he's really a good kid, to be honest with you. Real shy, introverted type of kid. It's kind of strange because you see those kids, those high major. And I'd say this: if he was the alpha male dog, I'm talking the mean guy, he might be number one, the number one ranked kid. Because I'm telling you, it would be unreal. But his personality is just not like that.
Well, how do you think that would fit in at a Kentucky? You know, there's been some kind of rumblings that he, you know, he's kind of a homebody. You know, that's why he was so interested in some of the Big 12 schools, especially, you know, the Texas Tech, and, you know, I mean, there were rumors that he was about to commit to Texas back in August, and you know, then Kentucky jumps in the picture, and you know, where do you think that kind of dynamic fits in, you know, with his personality? Do you think he would be able to fit in at a place like Kentucky?
I really do. I think they would, I'm not saying he can't develop into a leader type of guy.
Yeah,
he's a smart kid. He's a good kid. He will learn from all that stuff, but he's also good at taking commands too. And sometimes you have those alphas. And it wouldn't be a bad thing that's coming in. He listens to some guys, so I think he would fit in. And I'll be honest with you. I asked him. We were in practice. He said, "Can I put my top 5, you know, out there?" And I said I'd do it at 12, and that's during our practice. I said, "Go ahead, you can do it."
Mm-hmm.
And we talked for a second, and I said, "Do you have a favorite right now?" Because I was being nosy. And he said no. He said I really. He said all five are right there, you know, on the same level. So there is no early favorite. There is no early leader in the clubhouse, and it's just kind of whatever. He really hadn't made up his mind. I'll just say that.
Well, how has this recruiting process been for him? Because, you know, like you said, he you know, he did kind of go from, you know, kind of seemed like he was favoring Texas for a little while. It's, you know, some of the local schools, things are kind of spreading out a little bit more with the Kansas and Kentucky and all that. You know, what kind of role have you played a part of in this recruitment, and just how do you think he has handled it as a whole?
Really, my role has just been whenever he wants to talk to me, he'll talk to me a little bit about it. I'm telling you, his mom and his dad are really big, especially his mom. They're really good people, and they have been kind of guiding him through this thing. But they will not make the decision. He's gonna make the decision himself. So,
Mm-hmm.
But mom and dad are big, and I'm real close with mom and dad. I taught mom and I coached dad, so you know, they trust me with him, and but it's been hard. I'll be honest with you, here within the last probably month, he's talked to me about how just all the meetings and all the Zoom meetings and all the phone calls have just been, it's been a little much, and he's getting tired of all that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why he cut it down to 5, because he was just getting tired of so many people trying to call him. And you know, one day he called me. We usually meet at about 8 o'clock, and I'll open the gym and he'll work out some nights. And he was on a Zoom meeting from about 8 to about 9:30 with, I think it was Oklahoma, and he kind of just shook his head afterwards and apologized. And I was like, "It's all right, you know, you can stay up here till however long you want to."
Yeah.
But it really, you can see it's just really wearing on him, all the meetings.
Yeah.
Because he's not a talkative. He's a quiet kid. He's not a I want to talk all the time type of guy. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it has been, especially like I say, the last month I think he'd like to just be done with it, but he was excited about the top 5. I'll be honest with you, he really was. But as far as like I say, proximity, yes, it would probably be good if it was closer. But he knows Kansas, Kentucky. When you start talking those two, you have a chance to do something really special, kind of after that too. So that's kind of a big draw to him.
Yeah, well, you know, kind of touching on UK, everybody knows about the Jay Lucas connection and how the close they were at Texas, and then, you know, things kind of, it seems like as soon as Kentucky kind of got in the picture and started recruiting Jay to Kentucky, it kind of seemed like Damian kind of took a step back, and once that move was officially made, it kind of, you know, put things on pause, and he had to, you know, kind of reevaluate, gave him something to think about. You know, what do you know about their relationship, and what is Kentucky's pitch to him as a whole right now?
You know, it's the greatest pitch ever. You come here, we'll give you a chance to play in the NBA. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're even saying that, but he knows. And then we sat down and talked. When he got the offer, he was really excited. He came in smiling to my office, and I said, we sat down and I said, you have to seriously think about that, because what's your end goal? What do you want to do, in life? And he was, he wants to play in the NBA. I'll just be honest with you. He does. He wants to get a shot. I'll just say that. And I said, well, you realize if you go to Kentucky, then you will at least get a shot. You will at least get looked at. You will at least have the resources to get looked at. So, it's all up to how hard he's willing to work and what he's willing to do. But he was totally excited. I think that's Kentucky's allure, and honestly, I guess that's Kansas's big draw too. But I'll say it's really all of them, but especially Kentucky. You've got that network of guys, and you're watching NBA Finals and Kentucky.
Yeah, it's an infomercial
all around, and in the bubble there's Kentucky everywhere. So and they were showing out. So he knows, and that's a big draw.
Have you guys talked about the the NBA success and the NBA Finals specifically? I mean, it's literally just Anthony Davis, Rajon Rondo versus Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, and is that something that you guys talk about?
We we have. He's kind of a strange kid in that he doesn't. He's watched some of the NBA Finals, but he doesn't watch a whole lot of basketball. So as far as just every day, I got to watch the NBA Finals. He'll watch it if it's on and knows it's on, but he's not seeking it out too much. He's really working on his game and doing things like that more. So we talked a little bit about it, and he knows, like I say, he knows the network that he's going to come into if he goes to Kentucky, and I think it excites him.
Gotcha. Now,
that's another one. There it is right there. Thank you. Anthony Davis. There you go. There's the name. That's the one I was looking for.
Oh, there you go.
Probably defensively, putting on a little weight, he could be really akin to I'm not saying he'll ever be that good, but potentially he probably could be. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely something that'll definitely make the listeners on this show that they'll definitely like that comparison quite a bit. Now
more than Kevin Durant, probably Anthony Davis would be. He's like a poor version.
Yeah, I'm putting you to it. I'm going to put out there that he's a mix of Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis.
Wow, I just put too much pressure on him. Let me take that back.
Nah, it's all good. Outside of Kentucky, Oklahoma is. I mean, they're picking up traction. Especially everybody kind of talks about his friend being there, Bajan Cortez, and just kind of their relationship. What kind of draw does that have for them? We're kind of it's kind of the NBA with Kentucky versus the comfort of playing with your friend. Being relatively close to home. What is that allure there? That's
the two things. Relatively close to home. Him and Bijan spent a lot of time this summer together. They worked out together. I think he spent a lot of nights over at Bijan's house during the week. So they're really tight. He knows the other kid. I forgot his name. That just committed to CJ Nolan from Waxahachie. He knows him, so he's really, really close to him. And the kids and the program and Lon Kruger. He's like a dad type of guy too. So he really likes him. So those are the draws with Oklahoma. Texas, he loves Shaka Smart, which I don't know. I hope he's going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
But he absolutely loves Shaka Smart.
I know you talked a little bit about how this kind of recruiting process is starting to drain on him a little bit. Now, you kind of said that he was kind of hinting at wanting to get this over with at some point in the near future. Do you know of a timeline by chance? Do you think that this is going to be an early signing period decision?
I really don't, because I tell you what, all I know is if it was up to his dad, he was like, his dad's tired of seeing him, kind of tired all the time and thinking about it all the time. So his dad wants him to go ahead and commit. Mom wants him to think about it a little bit longer. So if it's up to the other two, I mean, it's going to be either this or that. But he had said way back when he's going to wait till after basketball season so he can just concentrate on basketball season. But I honestly don't know if he'll do that. So there really isn't a timeline that I know of yet. but he may get so tired of that's one thing. If he commits early, then he's gotten tired of the process, and he's ready to be done with all that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll end it with this one. No matter which school lands Daimion, what is the one thing that fan base should be looking forward to the most about his commitment?
Just basketball wise, a whole lot of block shots and a whole lot of dunks and a whole lot of alley oops. And you're looking at, again, I say this also to people who have asked me. He is that prototypical kind of NBA stretch forward that they talk about now, that comes out and screens and rolls and screens and pops to the 3-point line. And I'd say his range has extended out a couple feet past the 3-point line now. So you're getting a potential future NBA prospect is what you're getting, and he's a really exciting player to watch. I'll be honest with you. It's made me my dad was a basketball coach, and he told me everybody ought to get to coach really, really good players sometime in their lives, and I'm getting to do that right now. Like I said, we've gone from 11 wins in his freshman year to 31 his sophomore and 30 last year, and we're hoping for a bunch more this year too. So hopefully a lot of wins, a lot of block shots, and a chance to watch a guy that probably will play in the pros one day.
We are now happy to be joined by 2021 5-star forward and Kentucky target Damian Collins. Damian, what's going on, man?
Going good. What's up?
Not a whole lot. We are happy to have you. We've been trying for a couple of weeks, and we're very appreciative that you took the time to join us. Now, you earned your Kentucky offer back on August 26th. Just, go ahead, tell us what that feeling was like. I know Coach Boston says that you guys had a good little heart-to-heart talk in his office afterward. What was that moment like for you?
I mean, it felt real good being able to get an offer from, like, a real big basketball school like that. And, that's basically a basketball player dream, being able to get recruited by schools like the blue blood schools. So it was really exciting.
What has your contact been like with the UK coaching staff since then? I know, the Jay Lucas move kind of threw a wrench into things. Who have you been talking to, and what level of contact has it been since then?
Mostly I've been talking to Coach Justice. He's been my recruiter. And, I talk to Coach Lucas sometimes, and I talk to Coach Kyle a lot too. So really, they've been recruiting me pretty hard ever since they offered me.
Everybody kind of talks about that relationship with Jay Lucas and what it was like at Texas. Do you think that talk is a little overblown, or do how close were you guys really, and how close do you guys continue to be now that he's at Kentucky?
I mean, me and Coach Lucas, we were close. For him being my recruiter at Texas. But then him moving to Kentucky too, it really didn't change nothing. We're still going to be close regardless because of the relationship we built with each other.
Gotcha. What is Kentucky's pitch to you as a whole? What have they said about how they'd use you and what your fit would be alongside the guys that are currently recruiting, how you'd fit in with the roster, some of the guys that are kind of, potentially coming back next year. How have they said they would use you at Kentucky?
Coach Kyle, he told me that he'll use me pretty much like he did Anthony Davis. He said I'll remind him a lot of Anthony, that I'll be able to do some of the things he's doing now. And then, like, when I come there, the kind of development and, like, the stuff like that, he'll be able to do to me and stuff like that.
Now, I got to ask, Coach Boston said to me yesterday that he kind of put a lot of pressure on your shoulders. I asked for a player comparison. He said that you are a mix between Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis. What does that mean to you, and just how crazy do you think he is for giving you that comparison?
I mean, I kind of think I play like them too because, I can shoot the ball, dribble, and make plays and stuff like that, but I can also, get down low like Anthony and score the ball too. So really, I think I'm a mixture of them too, pretty much.
What has it been like, turning on the TV and every single time there's a playoff game on, or just, the NBA bubble, and every time you turn it on, there's a Kentucky guy on there. Anthony Davis is playing for a championship tonight. What has that been like to you as a recruit, seeing that as a, Kentucky's pitching me NBA dreams, and to be actually able to see that on your own TV, what does that mean to you? Is knowing that they're one of your top options?
I mean, to me, that let me know how Coach Cal can develop players and get them to where they need to be able to go to the next level. It's like stuff like that. So really, it's pretty good being able to see them on TV because that let me know. It let me know what I need to know. Pretty much.
Yeah. Now, switching gears a little bit, to your really good friends, Bijan Cortez and C.J. Nolan, they're both committed to Oklahoma. Coach Boston said that you spent a lot of time this summer with Bijan, spent the night with him a whole bunch. It's no secret that you're very close with both of them. What kind of impact does that have on your recruitment, and how much are they pushing you to Norman?
I mean, they recruit me to come to Norman, but pretty much when we all talk, we don't pretty much talk about college. We just hang out, have fun. So really, really, we don't talk about college a lot. But they do try to get me to come there. But I have to do what's best for me.
Gotcha. Now, I do also have to ask. Coach also said that you were a good old country boy, and I'm dying to know what that means. What makes you a good old country boy?
Pretty much. I just I have horses and stuff like that. So
okay,
maybe
that's a brand new, nobody had any idea. Okay, explain that a little bit to me. You have horses. What you live on like a ranch or something? What's the deal there?
No, so I don't stay on a ranch. It pretty much that's all it is. I just have horses, pretty much.
And you fit on them at 6'10"?
Yeah, sir. I got some pretty big horses.
How often do you ride? When did this come about? How long has this been has this been a part of your life?
I've been riding horses since I was 2 years old. So really, it's been around for a long time. My older cousins and stuff and my grandparents, they had horses. And so pretty much I was born into it.
So do you listen to country music? Do you go to rodeos? What else makes you a country boy, as Coach Boston says?
Only thing that I do outside that, I just go to trail rides. I mean, I've been to a few rodeos, but I don't go like that.
Gotcha, man. That is just mind blowing to me. Just I'm trying to envision seeing you on a horse. I think that's just mind blowing to me. All right, you're currently listed as a consensus top 25 prospect, ranked anywhere from number 10 overall to I think number 24 over at ESPN. Where would you put yourself if you were doing the rankings, and what would you say separates you from the rest of the top forwards, and I guess just the other top players in your class?
I mean, I really don't pay attention to the rankings and stuff like that. I try to stay humble and keep working hard and because rankings are pretty much all opinions. So to me, I just stay humble, keep working hard, and whatever come my way.
Absolutely. Now, Coach said, I asked him, okay, say you have to guard, you're an opposing coach, you have to guard Damian Collins tonight. What would be his game plan to try to stop you or slow you down? And he said all he could do was go home and pray the night before that something was going to happen, that you didn't have a good game because that there was nobody in your area that can stop you. All he said is that all he could do was pray. What do you think of that, and is that fair to say about your game?
I mean, I think it's pretty true. I ain't trying to be cocky or nothing, but I haven't been guarded around here yet.
He said that you're going to be working toward a triple double this year, averaging 10+ blocks a game. Is that a goal of yours? Do you think that's something you could do on a regular basis?
Yes, sir. That is a goal of mine. I think I'll be able to do that.
What are your updated measurements right now? I think that they have you listed right now at 6'10", anywhere from 190 pounds to 220. Have you been measured recently, and what are those official measurements right now?
I haven't been weighed recently, but I know I'm 6'10". I think I'm between 190 or 200, something like that.
Gotcha.
Then I know I got like a 7'5" wingspan.
Gotcha. Now, regarding a decision, your coach says that this process has been weighing on you heavily. It's been exhausting dealing with phone calls and Zoom calls and, virtual visits and all that stuff. Is that pushing you toward a decision a little bit, in the early signing period potentially? And just how much do you want to get this process over with?
I mean, the price is not too bad, but I was gonna wait to see like if we'll be able to take our visits and stuff. But after I heard that that's probably not gonna happen no time soon, that's probably what made me go ahead and start thinking about the commitment more.
So is there a current timeline on that? Are you thinking about the early signing period?
Yeah, we're thinking about it a little bit, but we don't know for sure yet.
Gotcha. What is going to be the biggest deciding factor, the biggest push or pull in your decision where you ultimately decided to commit?
The biggest thing is somewhere that I go be able to fit in, and somewhere that I think that'll develop me a lot to get where I need to be.